Hey everyone, and welcome back to The Explainer. Today, we are diving deep into a topic that can be a bit of a puzzle. How do you actually reshape and analyze data in Apache Spark's GraphX? If you've ever felt a little stuck here, don't worry, you are definitely in the right place. Let's jump in. So, let's say you're a pro with relational databases, right? You live and breathe SQL. Joins, group by, tables, rows, you've got it all down. But then you run into graph data. Things like social networks or supply chains, and suddenly those trusty old tools feel, well, kind of clumsy. Trying to trace a path of connections with SQL can be a real headache. It's a super common problem, and it tells us we need a totally new way of thinking.
And that's really the big shift here. When we're working with graphs, we're not just looking at individual data points anymore. We're focusing just as much, if not more, on the connections between them. Shifting your focus from the things to the relationships is the whole new paradigm, and it's what makes graph analytics so incredibly powerful.
So how do we wrap our heads around this new way of doing things? Well, it all starts with a fundamental concept that powers big data systems like Spark: map/reduce. You've probably heard the term thrown around, and for good reason. It's a surprisingly simple but wildly powerful pattern for chewing through massive amounts of data. Let's break it down.
First up is map. I want you to just picture a transformation assembly line for your data. You take one item, you do something to it. Maybe you change its format, pull out a specific piece of information, or check if it meets some condition, and then you output one single, new, transformed item. For every one thing that goes in, one thing comes out. It's a clean, one-to-one transformation. Simple as that.
And then comes reduce. This is where you take that huge pile of individual outputs from your map phase and you boil them all down into a single summary value. It's a many-to-one operation. Kind of like taking a giant pot of stock and simmering it for hours until you have a rich, concentrated sauce. You're aggregating, summarizing, and reducing everything down to one final answer.
Okay, let's make this totally concrete. Imagine you have a gigantic server log file, and you just want to count how many lines say error. The map step is easy. It goes through every single line. If it sees error, it spits out a 1. If not, it spits out a 0. So now you've got this massive list of ones and zeros. The reduce step, even easier. Just add them all up. The final sum is your total error count. See? Map to transform, reduce to summarize.
Right, that makes total sense for a simple list of data like log files. But a graph? That's a whole different beast, isn't it? It has all these nodes and edges connecting everything. How in the world do we apply a simple map/reduce pattern to a complex web like that? And more importantly, if I want to actually change something, how does that even work? This brings us to a really core principle of Spark and GraphX.
And this is a big one, so really let this sink in. Graphs in GraphX are immutable. It's a fancy word, but all it means is they can't be changed. You never, ever modify a graph directly. This is a huge idea that comes from functional programming, and it makes working with data on a massive parallel scale way safer and easier. So, if you can't change a graph, what are you supposed to do?
You create a new one. Every single transformation in GraphX takes your existing graph as input and produces a brand new, shiny graph as the output. The original graph is left completely untouched, safe and sound. For example, if we want to add a new piece of info to an edge, we don't edit the old one. Instead, we create a new edge that has the original data, like isFriendsWith, plus our new property.
Let's see what that looks like in a bit of code with an operation called mapTriplets. Now, a triplet is just a simple way of saying the whole connection: the source node, the edge, and the destination node. This line of code here runs a little function on every single one of those connections in our graph. For each edge, it creates a new attribute that keeps the original info but adds a new true-false value based on whether the source node's name contains the letter A. It's a perfect map operation, creating a whole new, richer graph.
Okay, so we've got the map part down. We can transform individual pieces of our graph. But what about the reduce part? How do we do the graph equivalent of a group by from SQL? How do we calculate something new for a vertex by gathering up information from all of its neighbors? You know, like counting how many connections each person has in a social network.
The answer to that question is an absolute powerhouse of a function called aggregateMessages. This is the main tool in GraphX for doing that kind of reduce or group by style operation. And as you can probably guess from the name, it literally works by sending messages along the edges of the graph and then aggregating them at the vertices. It is the map reduce pattern, but built specifically for graphs. This aggregate messages operation is basically a two-step dance. First, you have the map phase, which is handled by a function called sendMessage. In this step, every edge gets to send a little piece of data, a message, to the vertices it's connected to. Then, step 2 is the reduce phase, handled by mergeMessage. This function's job is to take all the messages that a single vertex receives and combine them into one final value. Map and reduce all rolled into one powerful command.
Now, before we look at the full line of code, we gotta talk about this weird-looking bit of syntax you're going to see everywhere in Scala, underscore plus underscore. I know, it looks super cryptic, but honestly, it's just a really short way of writing a function that takes two numbers and adds them together. That's it. It's the perfect function for our merge-mess step if all we're trying to do is sum things up. It just means take the first thing and the second thing and add them.
All right, let's put this all together. Let's say we want to count the number of outgoing connections for every single vertex in our graph. In the map phase, that first part, we tell every edge to send the number 1 to its source vertex. So if a vertex has, say, 3 edges going out from it, it's going to receive 3 separate messages, and each of those messages just contains the number 1. Then, in the reduce phase, our friendly plus plus function kicks in and just adds up all those 1s. The final result for that vertex? 3. We just calculated its out degree.
So now we've seen both sides of the coin, right? We have mapping to transform the individual pieces, and we have reducing or aggregating to gather information from entire neighborhoods. When you put these two concepts together, you unlock the ability to do some seriously sophisticated analysis on your graph. Let's do a quick recap of what we've just added to our toolkit. So here's your graph transformation toolkit. At its heart, GraphX operations are all built on that powerful map/reduce idea. Remember, graphs are immutable, which means every transformation creates a new graph. For those one-to-one changes, you'll use functions like mapVertices and mapTriplets. And for those big, many-to-one aggregations, your go-to tool is aggregateMessages. With these building blocks, you can go way beyond just simple queries. You can start to build complex algorithms, things like calculating influence in a network, finding hidden communities, and discovering all sorts of insights that are buried deep in your data's connections. So the real question is, what patterns are just sitting there, waiting for you to find them?
And that is our look at map and reduce in GraphX. If this explainer helped you connect the dots, please do me a favor and hit that like button, share it with your friends and colleagues, and of course subscribe for more explainers just like this one. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.